whatsoever. As I mentioned earlier, that I had a long talk with a young man who I believe to be completely sincere in what he had to say. And I'm referring, of course, to the man who has just walked out, Michael Hayes. And I do want to talk to Michael because he has had some profound changes in his life recently, and I think that all of you would do well to bear in mind what he has to say.
Gordon, a lot of people's wondered what's happened to Michael Hayes in the last 6 weeks. A lot of people's wondered what happened to the fabulous Freebirds, and maybe that would be a nice place to start. You know, I don't know if there's one significant thing. I don't know if there's one thing you could put your finger on. I still ain't quite sure I understand it. But nevertheless, I think something had to do with maybe the last match with the Andersons in the Army. Ole Anderson sold me out flatter than a dog. And Terry and I have been down so many roads together. And we had, I couldn't go into the times we had together, man. I mean, you couldn't write a book about it. You couldn't make a movie about it. I mean, the times we got stuck on the mountain in the snow in Chattanooga in the blizzard, it goes on and on. 4 years, brother, side by side. And you walked right out on me. Now, when the ship was sinking, the captain went down with the ship. But Terry walked out on me. It blew my mind, Gordon Soley. I'm here to tell you it blew my mind. So I said, well, I'm going to pack my bags, and I'm going to go home, and I'm going to get my act together. And I went home, and I thought, well, I'm just going to be cool, and I'm going to lay out and see all my friends. I figured they're going to have a little bit of sympathy for Michael Hayes. Well, you know, I went to a good friend's house, Gordon Soley. Boy's name's Frumpy. You know, he got that long hair and a beard. That's why we call him Frumpy. And we was celebrating America's birthday on July 4th, and it started at 2, and it was on about midnight. And everybody was feeling just about right. And now, wait a minute, the boy come up to me, and he looked me straight in the eye, and this boy's like 5'10", and when somebody looks you in the eyes and they got something to say, they say it to you, you know what they're talking about. And he said to me, he said, no, we've been friends a long time. I've known you a long time, since you was just a kid. And he said, I know you've always been cocky, and I know you like to dress flashy and be fancy. He said, that's fine, because that's you. He said, but I think you forgot something that's very, very important. He said, you forgot where you came from. He said, you forgot that you started down here, and before you became big time, that you was right here with the rest of us. And he said, if you think for 1 minute that I am the only person that can relate to Freebird, he said, you're crazy, because there's a whole bunch of us right here at this party. He said, when you were up there, we felt like a part of us was up there. Just a little incentive that maybe the little man can make it big. And that blew me away. I had to leave the party. I said, I can't handle this. And the last thing, man, I was packing my bags leaving town. I said goodbye to my mother. Me and my old lady got in the car, and my little brother come out to me. He's 13 years old. 13 years old, Gordon Soley. Both me and him ain't never been raised by no daddy. We never had no daddy, and then don't get me wrong, I ain't complaining. My mama did a fine job. But I always wanted my brother to come up right. And I always thought that I gave him the right kind of advice. He come up to me, he said, you know, Michael, he said, you've been an inspiration to me. He said, I've always looked up to you because you made it. And he said, you've always told me what to do to make it. He said, but I got to tell you something. He said, you told me go out and get what I want. He said, I can see you're sitting home right now, and you're telling everybody that you're happy and you're fine sitting on this beach, but it's a lie. Because you want to be right back up there in Atlanta, Georgia, doing your thing like you should. Now, he said, now how am I supposed to go on if you won't practice what you preach? Well, let me tell you something, Roy. Let me send this special message out to my little brother, because right now he's in Sarasota. He's playing for the 13-year-old Pensacola All-Stars in the state championship. You get out there and you play your butt off, boy. You do whatever it takes to win. Because if you need somebody to follow, if you need somebody for guidance, you got him. That's me. That's right, that's me. Because, hey, well, let me tell you something. No, the kids have to have direction, man. If the kids don't have direction, where are they going to go? And I've done everything. I have done everything possible that a man could do, and I can't come out here and say that I didn't mean to do it. But I can say one thing. I can try to rectify what I have done. And as far as anybody's concerned, I got just as much right to be here as anybody. I I got just as much right to be here. So let me put it plain and let me put it sweet. Fantasia is alive and well, and it's back in Atlanta to raise some hell.
Well, there you have it. Obviously, quite a change of heart, quite a change of philosophy. And this young man, still very brash, but as I said...
Hey, I cannot express what it felt when my little brother came up and said that to me. I mean, hey, he ain't never had a daddy. If I don't set an example, who's gonna do it?
And you mean the right example?
I'm being the right example. Now, you know the Freebirds song. It said, Lord knows I can't change, but I can make things get right, Gordon Soley. I've made my mind up. And as you know, anytime Michael Hayes has ever promised something, no matter what it was, he delivered. And I'm promising you this.
Thank you so very much. Hang around, because I want to talk to you a little bit later on, okay? Don't leave, because I do want...
Come to start no trouble, and that's what I said. I didn't come to start no trouble. This ain't none of my business, so for one time, I'm going to keep my nose out of it.
Well, I can certainly understand that, and I admire your restraint on that, because obviously Mr. Patera took undue advantage of Ken Eaton and doing what he did and putting that full Nelson to him. Nonetheless, of course, Michael, I felt, as I said earlier, when I talked to you, I felt you were very sincere about what was on your mind, and it's frankly, if that's the case... Whoop, wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Well, outside of camera range right now is Terry Gordy. Mike, I had
An interview with these men. I'll step aside.
Thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate it.